Here at Be Freaking Awesome, we believe that life is too short to be anything less than extraordinary. Join us as we explore what it means to live authentically, grow continuously, and have a blast while doing it. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Be Freaking Awesome. I'm one of your hosts, Sami here with Angela Belford, and today we are going to be talking all about coaching. The pros, the cons, the benefits, kind of like last week's episode, but really just a different service and things. So, Angela, I think within our new business, I probably would say that I am the lead team trainer, and I think that you are our lead coach. And like when people are seeking out coaching, they're more seeking you. Tell me, what do you view like your role within that? Is that the right question to ask? I don't know. How do you feel about that? You're our lead coach.
Yeah. Well, number one, I love it. Number two, I think that you're really good at team training, and I think I'm a good keynote speaker, and I think I'm a fantastic coach, which has been really fun to kind of lean in and embrace that. So back in 2021, I had a career change and was like, you know what? I think I want to get certified to be a life coach. I spent the whole summer like wondering if I really needed a certification, because I kind of most of the time tell people you don't need a certification. You just like you have the experience. Um, and what came to realize is that when I became a consultant back in my late 20s, it took me like 3 years to kind of get good at being a consultant. And when I wanted to make this transition from consultant to coach, I didn't want to spend 3 years getting really good at it. I wanted to get the reps in. And so I decided to do a certification, and it was a life coach certification, not an executive coach certification, because at that point, I don't think I did know or perceive the difference. And
Mhm.
so it was a 6 month, and it was uh, not cheap. It was an investment. And I am glad I did it. And about 2/3 of the way through, I went, "Oh, I have been a coach for about 10 years." I kind of didn't realize it. Like, it's funny, maybe other people are like this, but I have clients that, um, like, we don't see it for ourselves. I had clients
Mhm.
that said, "Angela, you are like hiring a coach." And and what I realized they meant is like I wasn't just telling them about marketing. Like I thought more about business. So I just thought of it as like, no, I just have a more holistic view toward marketing. There's reasons, and that could be a whole nother podcast episode of what I think about marketing. But um, I started out life coaching, and I started out helping people. I would say that it was very forward focused. It was very much like I have a goal that I want to accomplish, and so I would walk with them through that goal. And I found for myself that if there wasn't a business component to it, it wasn't as much fun for me. Um, I think some of the time it felt a little bit like I was just I was I it got gray area for me about, is this therapy? I know it wasn't therapy. I'm not a licensed therapist, but it was a little bit like, what are we going to talk about this week? And I didn't love that aspect of it. Um so and then I published my book, and as part of my book, I ended up developing kind of a coaching methodology, and it's really based in the idea of like we can't do anything until we get our nervous system calmed down, and getting our nervous system calmed down and identifying the core beliefs and where we stand on those core beliefs is sort of foundation to everything. And so it's interesting because as I think that I'm probably have a lot more emotional intelligence and a lot more of the feeling side of the coaching spectrum than a traditional executive coach. But I love partnering with business problems. Like I love it when it is like there is a defined goal. And I even say that like my favorite coaching is like when we work together like weekly or every other week for like 6 or 8 sessions and then I'm like, "Now go for like 2 months." And then like, "Let's come back together." I'm trying to put together a program that would be a little different than that, but sorry. So, what I would say the difference between a life coach and an executive coach is number 1, they are, the people that I'm working with are more likely running a company, running a division of a company, um, maybe the founder, and they want to partner solve business problems through the coaching platform.
Different but similar question. What is the difference between a consultant and a coach? If you started out as a consultant and you wanted to become a coach, what's that difference?
Yeah, and so it's funny because one
From
of my
your point of view, I wanna clarify. Everybody's got
Sure,
lots of
sure.
different
Yeah,
opinions.
lots of opinions. Yeah, so from my point of view, ironically, I have one of my clients that I am both his consultant and his coach, and I will sometimes say, "I'm gonna take off my consultant hat now, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna put on my coach hat." And so, from my perspective, number one, the consultant is typically you're hiring somebody who um, is very knowledgeable in a subject area. So I am a marketing consultant. Some might call me a business consultant. I've done operational consulting, and that is where they hire me for my experience, my expertise. I am there to give them information, to give them systems or processes. There may be some training components of it, with and probably the vast majority of consulting that I do is in the marketing space, where
Mhm.
people are like, "I literally don't know anything about how to set the marketing strategy for my company." Um, Partner that with coaching, and like for this client specifically, we we were going through a process and he couldn't make a decision, and he couldn't make a decision, and he couldn't make a decision, and we kept trying, and we kept trying, and kept trying, and then finally I was like, "Okay, gonna take off the consultant hat, I'm gonna put on the coach hat. So let's talk about where that lack of decision is showing up in your body." And we literally drop into a position and a kind of sequence of questions that got him out of his head and back into his body. And then, if you've been coached by me, you'll know that that is what I do is I take left brain people and teach them how to feel their body, feel their feelings in their body and kind of chase down and learn what your body's trying to tell you. The best compliment I got for my book, the body for traveling light, is that it's like a fifth grade level of the body keeps score. So that is what I do. And so we get into his body and we talk through. Well, it come to find out like this decision had so much deeper emotional attachment to it. It was not a simple decision for him. It was like, and we uncovered this huge amount of emotion. Now he had to sit with that decision for about 6 weeks, and then he called me back and he's like, "Okay, I'm now ready for you to be the consultant and to do your job and to tell me what to do and to guide me through this process instead of letting my decision making." So that's when it's really fun when I have that kind of relationship. I find myself more and more when I have clients that I'm just consulting with. I don't I don't enjoy that as much to the point that I've had the last 3 or 4 big contracts that I've signed. I have required them to have 5 sessions of executive coaching because I wanna establish that. I've also said to them, "Your brain is gonna this is a big goal for you. Your brain is going to fight me on this goal, and I wanna know in advance where your brain is gonna fight me." And so it introduces that ability to kind of to carry both of those hats with me.
I like that, and I think it is, something it feels counterintuitive at first to say, "I know your brain is going to fight me on this
No.
goal." However, with all of the things that we have learned about our brain's, like, primary drive, the core drive is to keep us alive.
Yeah.
New things, new goals, things that stretch us past our comfort zone, that is lots of pain, that is confusion, that is, risk and unknown, and is it going to work out? And all of that, our brain is like, yeah, that's in the potential death causing category, AKA not surviving, AKA run as far away from it as you can. And so I think that's so good to be able to at least bring attention and awareness that,
Mhm.
hey, it's okay that your brain is going to resist at some level. And we're going to talk about that because otherwise, I'm going to be a bad marketing consultant. And you're going to say that I didn't do my job when really it was your brain actively fighting against me to do the job.
Right, and I probably should I should probably use that language. Your body is go your brain is gonna resist change, and it's gonna get outside your comfort zone. This is growing you outside your comfort zone. That's probably, a little less about me, and a little more about them, so good thank you. I may steal that language, actually. Um,
Well, it's also true that it's about us. And here we are. This is our podcast. You and I having a conversation. Like, we want to do work that is enjoyable for us and fighting people to do work that they paid us to do originally. Like, that is not my definition of enjoyable work. And where we had set out at the beginning of 2025 to say we want work that is fun and interesting and fulfilling, convincing somebody, "Hey, you know how you asked me for a thing and then you paid me for a thing and I'm trying to give you a thing and now you're throwing the thing back in my face?" No, I don't wanna do that. Now if you wanna talk through, "Okay, I don't wanna be throwing this in your face and I know that I am. Can you help me figure out how to not do that?" Sure, by all means, happy to help with that. But those people who, like, resist us, they're like, "It's not my problem, it's your problem. Prove yourself more." It's like, "Hmm,
it's
interesting. This
it
says
is
more about you than it does about me."
it is really, really interesting because I can feel it in my body. I'm not saying I'll ever get triggered by it, but I can feel it in my body that I've resolved so much of my negative belief. I'm not good enough. I don't
Mhm,
have what it takes. Those 7 core beliefs, like, I can tell you it is so different inside of here. Um, and and it is so much easier for me to notice when it's somebody else's "I'm not enough" belief that they're shoving on me and that
mhm,
they're projecting on me that I'm just like, "Mm." Now, certainly, I'm a human, and I certainly, can get caught off guard, and I get caught up into some other people's, emotional hurricane sometimes, and I don't even think they mean to be an emotional hurricane, right? It's just that they're
mhm.
unaware of the I think we talked about that a few weeks ago, about the things that when people aren't aware and they can't address it.
What kind of problems do you like to help people solve in executive coaching?
Well, what I was gonna say is I was actually gonna transition. The other type of coaching I'm getting a lot of calls for right now, which is super fascinating to me, is public speaking coaching. Now, those overlap kind of a lot because people that are
Mhm,
in those, I'm growing myself. There's a concept called key person of influence, and that Daniel Priestley has done, and he talks about the idea of as business owners making yourself well known. It actually builds credibility for your business. Another friend of mine, Elizabeth McCormick, has just put out the credibility factor, where she talks about the same idea that if we can build our credibility. So public speaking. Number one, I have studied the craft for
a long time.
15, 15 or more years, right? So I've been
Whoa. When was the first speech let's, hold on, credit where credit is due. You have been practicing and developing your skill executing your skills on this for, I believe it's 30 plus years.
It is. I tell women of my age that you can't say anything larger than 25 because then you date yourself.
Okay, well,
Um,
we're literally on a podcast where your daughter is 31, so
yeah.
s too bad you
Y-
dated yourself a
In
little bit.
in business.
Mm,
Anyway, but here's yes, you're correct. I was training on presentation skills actually back when I was Mary Kay sales director. Obviously, that was
mm,
a big part of my job, was teaching people how to do sales presentations. So I've done sales training and personality training for many, many years, my entire adult life, I would
Your
say. I
entire
mean,
adult
because
life.
I was a Mary Kay sales director when I was 23. So literally my entire adult life, I have been teaching and training. I was trained by Jack Canfield in 1999 on that was a 10-day workshop on how to facilitate self-esteem skills. Like now, the idea of going for 10 days for training is just like, oh, that seems so luxurious to me. Anyway, but furthermore, joined Toastmasters in 2009. And so I think I was, oh gosh, I actually competed in public speaking in high school in extemporaneous speaking and went to state
What?
conference. I
Why
know,
is this a new fact
I
that you're
forget.
like, "Oh, I forgot about this." I
I
guess
do
it's
forget
not
about this.
just I competed on, like, a world international stage for public speaking, and so, like, I did forget that I started doing this quite literally as a teenager.
Yeah, I
S
made it to state. So
Mhm.
I won my high school, I won district, and then I went to state in high school. So I've loved public speaking for a very long time.
The
Literally,
summation, you have studied the craft thoroughly and at length.
I have. And furthermore, here's the thing that's interesting is that if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see I have a series of trophies over here, and a good number of those trophies are actually not speaking trophies; they're actually evaluation trophies. Because I found that when I competed in public speaking, with Toastmasters, I wasn't always sure what the judges were looking for. And so I began to compete in evaluation. And that's when I really got good at coaching on public speaking. And recently, I coached two or three of the speakers from TEDx Fayetteville. And then I also coached the speakers from TEDx Bentonville here in 2025. It was so rewarding, so fulfilling. And part of it was rewarding and fulfilling. We're actually going to have one of those TEDx Bentonville speakers on in a couple weeks. Um, Part of what was so rewarding and fulfilling is that like it's breathing for me. Like the first time that I talked to my TEDx Fayetteville, Dr. AC Folks, his speech was changing and he had no idea how to structure it. So he just tells me his story. And like within a few minutes, I like here's the structure. And it's just weird how my brain works and it's cool and it's fun to watch people like get more confident. So 3 or 4 years ago, I coached somebody for that was preparing for conference speaking. Anyway, so I've done it a lot for pay and for volunteer. All of it starts with the same thing I do executive coaching. I start all of them with the let's calm down your nervous system. Let's look at what your core beliefs are because I think that people's fear of public speaking is 100% a nervous system problem. It's not a skill problem.
Okay, so I think that's really great. I had a different question for you.
Oh, go ahead.
I No, no, no. I would venture to say I hypothesize that at the core of almost all of your coaching you do with people
I do.
has to start with
I
if
do.
you aren't willing to regulate your nervous system or learn how to regulate your nervous system, you're never going to be able to accomplish as much in life. It's not to say you won't accomplish anything, it's that you limit yourself by not investing in that specific area. That's like, I want to go run a marathon, but I'm never willing to, like, invest in good shoes, or I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever it is, like, whatever foundational thing. I'm obviously not a runner. That's a bad metaphor for me to use. When you do public speaking coaching, I also this is just me hypothesizing about you and making observations. Hope that's fine. There are a lot of people who can do public speaking training, and there are lots of programs and online things and do it yourself videos, classes, courses, similar to what I think interests you about executive coaching versus life coaching. I do think you prefer people for public speaking coaching where there is also a business angle.
I think so.
There's volunteer things where you've done with TEDx and Fayetteville and Bentonville, a little bit less of a business angle. But when somebody's like seeking you out and paying you for coaching, if they're just like, I just want to like you're not getting people who are in Toastmasters paying you because they
Mhm.
want to be a better Toastmaster. You're getting somebody who is usually like a business person of sorts, or their job requires or demands a certain level of public speaking or presentation skills, and so how can it's not just about learn the art of a good pause and what to do with your hands and how you should use the room. It is how do all of those things impact your business and
Yeah.
impact the way that you present yourself, because that's going to impact how people receive you, because that's going to impact your ability to close a sale or to
Yeah.
win a grant or to, get
Yeah.
influence from these people. And so I think that that business side of things also seems to be something that really intrigues you.
I think that's what's fascinating is that I've tried to fight it and I don't know why, but I see the world as a business person.
Mhm.
I say all the time I'm a business guy. So like even my advocacy work has a very business lens to it. And I just it works really well for me. So I don't want to change it. Um the thing about coaching public speaking is that I do all of my coaching, executive coaching, as well as public speaking coaching, I do almost all of it exclusively virtually. Like,
Mhm.
I want to see you ideally once in person, but besides that, I don't need to see you in person to be able to do that. And it's fascinating because there's people that are like, "Oh, we can't even have this meeting online because I we can't connect." And I'm like, disagree. But I think that that's a skill set that I have cultivated because I want to. Part of that is it actually comes from my deep background, having gone through therapy myself, is that, and even especially marriage therapy a little bit, because you would go to this place and that place would become safe. Like when I go into my therapist's office, like it feels safe and I'm like, "I don't want you to come to me to feel safe. I want to teach you how to feel safe in your space." And so
Mhm.
when you're doing this from a nervous system response perspective, then you don't have to. I find it more beneficial to get comfortable in your own space instead of coming to me or some place to get comfortable. Now, I do want to see you if you're going to do this live. I want to see you live once. And luckily, I've got enough Toastmaster friends that I can just request somebody to come and speak so that you still have an audience. I think that for me, there are also elements of this that when I see somebody and I see that we've unearthed a belief that they had and they are on a completely different trajectory. I can't I see the world through the business. I see the world and personal growth through trajectory. And I recently had a client and I was like, think about this belief on the day before we started coaching. Will you ever be able to see the world again with that old perspective? He had a pair of glasses on and this is how he saw the world. And then I'm like, "Can you ever go back to that?" No. No, he absolutely can't. It's now that is uncomfortable. And so that's what I love is I love helping people shed those beliefs that they have that then the beliefs create these small little worlds and small comfort zone for them. I can't speak in front of people. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. And somebody
Mhm.
else like, "Yeah, but my heart's racing and I'm sweating." I was at an event earlier this year, and I literally was like, "Look, I love this dress because you can't see my sweat stains." And they all laughed because I'm like, "I don't get up here and I'm not immune to it." It's funny because I tell the story that the first time I ever experienced stage fright was at the 2015 World Championship of Public Speaking. It's actually not true. What's actually true is that I was numb to it before. I was
Mhm.
numb to a lot of my feelings before, and so it was there, I just ignored it. I just completely tuned out of so much of anything that was happening in my body below my neck, and so I think it's more true to say it's the first time I was aware, it's the first time I felt it impact my performance on stage. I was on such a big stage. So I love being able to help people like get more comfortable in their skin, understand what's happening in their body, shift those beliefs so that they can expand their comfort zone And really, the confidence that they get from that is just, it's like a drug for me.
I love it. Well, Angela, if you were to encourage people who maybe think they need that extra support from a coach, what should they do to start?
Yeah, you can go to angelabelford.com or Be Freaking Awesome and fill out one of our contact forms. You can start by reading my book, Traveling Light, because that absolutely will give you a primer. I remember one of my clients had gone through the process before the book came out
Hmm.
and was a beta reader, and he said, "Oh, I knew you had a plan, but now I see the plan." And so it can give you a great baseline. The other thing I would say is, like, discover your why of why you want to do this, and then let that be the driver because it's gonna get scary. You'll have to do it. It's an investment. If you aren't at a place where you can invest yet in a coach and you wanna be a better public speaker, then, join Toastmasters. That's absolutely a viable thing. If you want an executive coach and you can't join yet, read books, listen to podcasts, get on YouTube. I had a coach that said I was nervous about selling this service, and he goes, "Have you spent 4 to 6 hours on YouTube, learning everything there is to know about that tool that you want to use?" Like, well, no. And he goes, "I guarantee you, if you go spend 4 to 6 hours on that tool, then you can." So there's so much information in this day and time. What I think a coach does is it really helps you with very targeted, specific things that you can do to improve. But I think if you start somewhere else, maybe because of an investment situation, then you get yourself in just so you're going to get even more return on that investment. And if you think about the amount of money that you spend on a coach, like you can never go back to that negative way of thinking or that belief that has plagued you. And so you're going to get return on that for the next 15, 20 years. And
Mm,
so find somebody that'll work with you on a payment plan or just take the plunge, make the investment.
I love it. That's so good. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We are just grateful for each and every one of you being along with us here on the journey. We hope that something today helps you and it helps support you on your quest and journey to go be freaking awesome.